Hey, what's up, everybody? Today's guest is Jonathan Boncek, a former world traveling photographer turned rapid transformational therapist, a high performer who redefined fitness as play and fulfillment as mindset. Jonathan helps leaders break through burnout, rewire limiting beliefs, and build a life rooted in clarity, strength, and freedom. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So you are a yoga instructor, which I think you do for like fun and for a breakout, but you also run two separate businesses. How do you make time for your health and fitness?
Great question, Brian. And this is something that's changed over the past 4 to 5 years. And what I started to do, because I was of that old mentality of let me get to the gym and grind. And
Okay.
I found myself, not having the amount of time that I needed to do that when busy schedules would happen, and then the feelings I would have towards myself when I missed the workout. And so I imagine a lot of us can probably relate to that.
Yes, I coach more people. So when you join my gym, I no longer let you join on our unlimited program because there are too many people who, only come 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week, and they feel bad. And I'm like, no, like you're doing great.
Great. And so I had a chiropractor in 2021, 22 that was a chiropractor of biophysics. And he, part of fixing my alignment, which was off because I was actually training for a triathlon at that time and had some back problems. It's like, what's going on here? Like, this is getting worse. I have this race coming up. And what it found out was actually my hip had a 6 millimeter difference and my thoracic spine was out of line, and thus leading to my gait being off that was causing a lot of issues in my lower back. And so part of that rehabilitation process, which was over 3 months, he gave me some foundational spinal hygiene exercises that he's like, look, this is not me going to fix you. This is you going to fix you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you the tools. And so I started doing that religiously every day. And so that led me to my morning routine. And I'd had a morning routine for myself to really set the tone of the day, which constituted getting up, having 32 ounces of water with electrolytes, and then going outside and having a meditation practice. And that's where I was at to really set myself up. Well, once I started learning these exercises of spinal hygiene, I started implementing that. And through those exercises, Brian, I started to then incorporate a little bit of my yoga as well as a modality of push-ups. And so when I get done with my meditation, which can be anywhere in the summertime with kids, I'm not going to lie, it has dropped down to about 10 minutes. I have a 9 and 12-year-old. So
9 and 12-year-old boys and girls, boys or girls?
Older girl, younger boy.
Okay.
Yep. I'm blessed to have one of each. And so time changes, routines change in the summer. Any parent, entrepreneur understands that. And so I digress. In the school, I typically will have anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes of meditation. I really dive into that because that has helped me tremendously in my life. Then right after I get done with my meditation, I'll hit a short breath work to fire up the system.
Okay.
And this is a upregulated breath work, really to charge up the body. Right then I go into my morning mobility fitness routine, which has built up because as I mentioned, the push-ups, I will now, and I did this morning, these are my non-negotiables. Through my series of functional mobility and push-up routine, I'm doing about 300 total push-ups during that mobility routine, which is about 20 minutes long. So I'm getting some muscular workout, and it'll be, a set of regular push-ups then mixed with what they're called Mike Tyson push-ups. Are you familiar with this?
No, I don't know Mike Tyson push-ups.
So, apparently it's what he did a lot when he was incarcerated. But it is a push-up where you push back, your knees are off the ground, almost into a deep, what we call in yoga, like a turbo dog position.
Okay. Yep.
And then you spring forward, do a push-up. So you're actually getting a lot of core work, a lot of leg work. And then I'll hop up into a deep squat, heels on the ground, walk out on my knuckles. And then I'll do another set of push-ups where I'm tapping the shoulder, tapping the knees, tapping the feet, swinging. So I'm getting a full body workout within that 20 minutes of doing those push-ups. Then my children have a trampoline. I go outside and I put some sort of motivational, inspirational stuff in my headphones, and I bounce for 5 minutes. And
Okay.
it's not like I'm doing flips and back handsprings. I'm literally bouncing from one foot. I'll do 10 on one foot, 10 on the other, and just bouncing. I'm flushing the lymphatic system within that process, as well as I am really focusing on my foot strength and my ankle strength, my knee strength, because
Okay.
to be able to stabilize yourself on those trampolines, and rebounders are very popular for this as well as a little bit of cardiovascular work on that trampoline. So I do 5 minutes there. I get off, and then I will do a hip mobility routine, which is a 90-90 position with my legs sitting on the
Okay.
ground,
Yep.
going over, and I'll do different ways, different forms in that, pulling stretches as well as doing some oblique work and hamstring work of different variations of that 90 and 90. So that whole morning routine, Brian, takes anywhere from 30 to 35 minutes.
Okay.
That is my non-negotiable morning routine. And so when I started incorporating that, I was also working out sometime else in the day.
Okay.
However, because of the busy life and schedule, if now I'm to the point I have to do that. And I've seen progress actually within my musculature from the push-ups,
Okay.
the old Herschel Walker, out with the University of Georgia. So
okay.
people who don't know, yeah. So Herschel Walker was this beast in the 80s who all he did was push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. That is all he did. And so I'm starting to see, wow, that stuff actually works. And I found myself, I do some other things, and we can get into that here and there, but that is my foundational piece that I'm always doing, so that I'm always getting movement, mobility, and a little bit of cardiovascular work within that whole process in the morning.
Okay, so let's break some of this down a little bit, because that's really where I come from. Because basically, I've listened to every podcast, I've listened to every person. They talk about these great, wonderful things, and then you actually go into implement, and you're like, yeah, I don't know how to do that. So, okay, so let's talk. Let's go dive into a few more details on this.
Sure.
So you wake up and you say you drink 32 ounces of water with electrolytes. Where did the electrolytes come from?
Yep. And that was, listening to a lot of information out there and realizing the importance of sodium, potassium, and magnesium to drive the hydration to the cells.
Yep.
And so I started implementing that probably about 4 years ago, and found that I naturally feel better.
Do you use a packet that you add to the water, or?
Great question. And it used to be just gray or pink sea salt and lemon juice. Now, and which I learned that years ago, there was a great book I read in 2009 called The Fat Flush Plan, which really informed me and educated me, Brian, about it's really our liver that and our insulin response that is going to control weight loss. And if you can detoxify the liver and optimize the liver for fat loss, it will work with you. And so that's where the original, back in 2009, we started putting sea salt and a squeeze of lemon in water. So I will say now it has changed. There's electrolytes all over the place on the market. We use a brand called Relight. I'm not affiliated with them at all. I used to use Element.
Cool. I was going to ask. In the CrossFit space, Elements is kind of, and I tried it, and it was like, whoa, that's like drinking ocean water. Is what? Let's be clear as to what electrolytes taste like. It is salt. It is salt. That is what you are drinking.
Yes, absolutely. And just a side piece on that, Brian. If you really think about it, we've all sweat. We've all tasted our own sweat. What does it taste like? It's salty.
Yep.
So thinking about just the sheer loss of that salt within sweat. And then when you wake up in the morning, you're the most dehydrated because respiration as well as urination, you are expressing out that salt. So I really try to go into that. Let me back up a little bit, because what I have also been implementing is as soon as I roll off the bed, I am going into a cat and cow pose, which is in yoga. We're just really warming up the spine. So I moved through 50 of those right on the floor, just moving my body.
Okay.
And then I will go to the bathroom, and I will then start to implement some neck hygiene within the bathroom. And that is really working the neck up and down, side to side, and then left and right. And I was a wrestler growing up, and my neck used to constantly just be popping left and right. And that chiropractor that I told you about, he was like, stop popping your neck. here's what I want you to do to strengthen the muscles are all around the neck. Because oftentimes when we have spinal issues, it's actually the muscular imbalances that are happening around the
Sure.
spine, the hips. And that's been a
That
game
is
changer for me.
correct. Yeah. And that's another piece that, I mean, I just talked to a guy yesterday and he's wanting to join the gym, but he's worried about his weak low back. And I'm like, okay, well, weak, right? He talked through his issues. I'm like, those are spinal issues. And the way you fix spinal issues is that we improve the strength and endurance of the musculature around the spine, right? We don't want the spine. The spine should not be lifting weights, right? That is not what we want. We want muscles lifting weights, right? And so we need to start slow, start low, and work our way up. But yeah, a lot of people don't understand that.
Yes, exactly right. And I even some more, I don't want to get off track here, learning more about the fascia, the netting that really holds the body together, where I came from that belief. Well, the spine, the muscles, the skeleton, the skeletal system is really what holds everything, but it's actually the netting of the fascia that is holding everything together in that web, if you will. So digress. I do that neck routine in the bathroom. Then I walk out. I have my 32-ounce Hydro Flask ready to go on the counter, so that less barrier of entry. I'm literally grabbing it, and I'm grabbing my headphones, and I'm walking outside onto the back porch.
You've already set up a structure in place. Like, we don't need discipline, right?
Correct.
I personally don't believe in willpower or discipline. I believe in structure. Right. If the water's there, you just grab the water, and if the headphones are there, you grab the headphones, grab the water, and you walk out onto your back porch. Right. That's right. It's a lot easier than having to quote unquote make a decision or have the willpower to do it.
Absolutely. The system is there and it's easier. Everything's set up. So that's part of my nightly routine is, hey, I'm setting my electrolytes in water. It is ready to go. Everything is ready to go, so that, I can just move freely through this. And so that's when I'll grab my water and then go into what I just spoke about as far as that morning routine.
Perfect. Okay, so you have your water, you're going onto your back porch, and you're barefoot. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah, that's another thing I'm a big believer in is, let's not put on socks and shoes until we actually need the socks and shoes. Yeah. So you're going out and then you're going through what sounded to me like more of a yoga with some, even muscular endurance stuff, like with the push-ups that you do, right, are all part of a yoga routine. Where did you come up with this plan? Is this something that's just kind of evolved over time?
It has. It's a conglomerate of my experiences with yoga, within wrestling, within strength training, and because I'm, within my yoga practice, Brian, and within the classes that I do teach, almost 99% of the people in there are complaining about tight hips.
Yeah.
And so this is really focusing on the hips. And I've realized with myself, because I mentioned, I came to that chiropractor because my lower back was jacked up. Well, it was also my hips.
Yep.
My hips were out of line. And so I pay so much attention to my hips, as well as a little precursor to what I work with people in rapid transformational therapy. We actually store our emotional trauma in our lower back and our hips. So that's, if you think of a horse that is carrying a load, or a mule, where do they carry the load is the back and the hips.
Okay.
And so we as human beings also carry that emotional weight within, and we start storing it in our lower body, in our hips, in our lower back.
Got it. And you mentioned that this whole morning routine that we just talked about takes about 30 minutes. And you're doing this 5, 6, 7 times a week. Like how many days?
Yeah, I'm doing it 7 days a week.
7 days a week. This is your bare minimum. We talked about. I sent you some questions. One of my favorite questions to ask people is, what is your bare minimum? What is, no matter what, you are going to do this, and this is your bare minimum. Is this 30-minute water, yoga, and trampoline routine?
Yep, absolutely. And obviously, if I am traveling, which we'll get to one of your questions later, if I'm traveling, I don't have a trampoline there. So simply some bouncing up and down. I'll typically bounce and hop off one foot. Again, that's flushing the lymphatic system. And it just feels good to the body. And so if I'm in a hotel, I can still do that push-up hip routine, as well as my 90 and 90. As well, I'll just get up and really just start bouncing. That's kind of what we used to prep for a wrestling match back in high school. Everybody's just kind of bouncing, getting everything ready. So I will do that if I don't have a trampoline, because I know trampolines aren't everywhere.
Okay, well, and I'm in Texas, so we're more into football than wrestling. But
Yeah.
if you watch football players like in the tunnel waiting to come out, right? They're all jumping
Yep.
around, hopping around, right? I mean, that's just a natural way to get the body flowing. So
Hmm.
we've talked about movement, we've talked about your electrolytes and water. What about nutrition? What does your food intake look like? And let's just talk about the morning, really.
Yep. And years ago, I did start to implement intermittent fasting, and
Okay.
so
What
yep,
does what does intermittent fasting mean to you?
yep. I used to be very strict on this, Brian, and it used to be a very strict 16 hours of fast
Okay.
with an 8 hour window of eating. And I used to time it, and now I've been neurotic, and I've started to
Sure.
come off that.
If anyone who's in the fitness and nutrition space, we've all been on the neurotic path for at least some portion of it.
Yes, 100%. And so I think that's also part of the evolution of understanding your body
Yeah.
and getting to where you need to go. Okay, I've made this plateau, for lack of a better term, and now I can give a little bit here and maybe push a little bit here and think differently and maybe mix up that routine a little bit in bits to start to make little bits of gain, or to get to a future question, recognize burnout within that aspect as well. But so intermittent fasting, now instead of going a strict 16/8, at minimum, I am not eating for a minimum of 12 hours to let
Okay.
the
Yeah.
digestive system flush out. So, what I'll do is I have that water and electrolytes. And look, I'm trying to get into bed in the school year before 9 o'clock, in the summertime, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And, in the school year, I'm waking up at 5. In the summertime, I'm waking up at 6. And
Okay.
so, if I'm in bed, I'm already at 8 hours from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock.
Yep.
So
Yep.
then I'm already starting that fasting routine. So once I finish that morning routine, I'm going to come inside and I'm going to drink 16 ounces of essential amino acids
Okay.
with creatine.
Okay.
And this will not cause a glucose response, i.e., break my fast if I'm really looking for metabolism and fat loss.
Yep.
And so there's other aspects of fasting. If I'm looking for really cellular cleanup, I wouldn't want to do that. I would want to be a little bit stricter with my fast, but I'm really just looking to clean out the digestive system, as well as to activate fat loss, utilize these stored bits of fat that I have for energy. Now, because I'm doing those push-ups and that morning routine, I am starting to pull glucose from my muscles. So me drinking that essential amino acids is fueling my muscles, as well as blunting a little bit of that hunger response that I might have. Not all the time, I might have that. So I feel satiated from the essential amino acids, the creatine. I'm nourishing the muscles, and then I will have my coffee.
Okay.
And sometimes it's black, but if I am feeling a little bit trying to be in touch with my digestive system, black coffee can be a little bit harsh on certain people's digestive system in their stomach. So I'll either put organic coconut cream occasionally, or if I know I'm about to do something else physical, I will jump in and put coconut oil, as well as grass fed butter, the old bulletproof coffee, to
The
give me a little bit
bulletproof.
of energy.
Okay.
The bulletproof. So some healthy fats within that. And I'm going to then be in a fasted state anywhere, depending on what I'm going to do after that. Now, in the school year, I'll drop the kids off and I might go do something else physically, because that still, I like to do that. It's all about play. I have this idea in my mind, Brian, that how I want my fitness to be, I'll want to be able to play with my kids. I said they're 12 and 9, when they're
Yep.
22 and 19,
Yeah.
when they're
Sure.
32 and 29.
Yep.
And we like to surf, we like to ski, we
Okay.
bicycle, I hike, we do all these things. And so one thing that I like to think about with myself is, if I can, my fitness, if I can run a 5K, like just pick up and run it, good. I'm where I need to be cardiovascular strength. If I can swim a mile in a pool, great. That's where I want to be. And then every year I go on a men's hike on the Appalachian Trail. I need to be able to do that. And so those things are my style of play and movement.
Gotcha.
So once a week, I'm going to probably incorporate one of those things as an extra workout.
Okay.
And that's kind of that zone 2.
Yep.
Swimming's not. Swimming definitely cranks it up a little bit more.
Okay.
But I've fallen in love with swimming since I was training for this triathlon, because I was never
Yep.
really a big swimmer, and
Okay.
I love the meditative aspect of being in a pool. You can't have earphones on. You're just
Yep.
there with your thoughts and connecting the movements of the body with the breath. I feel like my breath work has helped me with the swimming.
Yep.
And yeah, or I'll take the paddleboard out onto the ocean and surf the paddleboard, and that's a heck of a workout.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those situations, I will likely, that's what we'll have. I'll have that bulletproof coffee, the grass-fed butter, and the coconut oil, because I know I'm also going to be needing to pull a bunch of energy there, and I don't want to cannibalize my muscles.
Gotcha.
I don't want my body to start eating into the glucose in my muscles. Rather, flip that switch and say, here's some healthy fats, or here's some essential amino acids. So it's really a little hacks to tell your body, hey, don't burn this, burn this.
Yep.
You know, and so when I break my fast, I'm typically breaking my fast with healthy fats and protein. Maybe some carbohydrates in there, because I did do a blood test about 2 years ago where the doctor was like, hey, you actually need to incorporate more carbohydrates into your blood type. I was predominantly protein and fat and, 20% carbohydrates. And he's like, no, man, like your blood type, you need about 50% carbohydrates. And then coming from the school of low carb, it's like, oh, no, like, I don't want to do that, And I'll tell you, Brian, once I started incorporating, complex carbohydrates, sometimes simple carbohydrates in fruit. I'm not drinking fruit juice, but I have seen my body respond better, as in aesthetically and physically. I'm like, I have more energy. So one of my favorite things to break a fast this summer, and I will admit in the summer, I typically don't eat as much. I mean, we have 110 heat index. I mean, you're in Texas, you get it, where I'm not eating as heavy in the summer. And I love breaking my fast with organic walnuts and organic blueberries, just that little combination. So I get fats, proteins, and carbohydrates within that. And then I do love, to my wife's disappointment, like tinned fish. She makes me eat it outside in the garage.
Hey, I'm with her on this one. I'm not eating that.
Yeah, and those are kind of my snacks. I will say, a tinned mackerel isn't as bothersome as a sardine or something like that, but it's really good fats. I mean, a single tin of, say, sardines, you're going to have 25 to 28 grams of protein in there with like 180 calories and good fats. Like these things are powerhouses.
I understand the math. I understand the math. I understand the nutrition. I also understand the scent that comes emanating as soon as I pop open that.
No one wants to
lid.
smell like catfish.
Yeah. So I'm with you in theory. That is, I'm with you in theory on this.
We get back to the food, and you mentioned kind of your the structure. If you're sitting it out, I'm packing my lunch for my days 99% of the time.
Okay,
and with enough, like some little packets of olives. A lot of nuts, some tinned fish. I might make a salad in there that's going to have some protein in there as well. And I'm going to, I don't want to say graze because it's not consistently, but I'm gonna break my fast anywhere from 10:30 to noon, and then I'm gonna probably eat again around 1 or 2, just because I have exercise within that. If it was an exercise day, but I tend to get hungry around that time.
Okay.
And so one of the things I've learned is, to honor that hunger, check in with it. Am I hungry, or am I just bored right now? Am I just
Great question. So if anyone is listening, just because your body is sending you hunger cues does not mean you are hungry, right? It's a great idea to check in with your body and go, like, is there a specific time? Is there a specific event? Sometimes this Pavlov's dog scenario where, a bell goes off and now we're hungry, even though there's no reason for us to be hungry. So it's awesome to hear that you do this body check-in to see, are you really hungry?
It's a little bit of a mind game, because so what that constitutes, Brian, is it's like, okay, I'm feeling the hunger. What am I doing? Because you said event. Like, what am I doing right now? And honestly, like, if I'm sitting there answering emails, and is that hunger? It's probably just trying to distract me.
Correct.
I don't like to sit down at a computer or desk for longer than an hour. I just feel like my body needs to move. And so I'll acknowledge it, and then I'll kind of do some stuff. And then if it starts coming back once I change what I'm doing, i.e. if I'm getting up from my desk, I'll do some little movements, some air squats and things like that. Or, if I'm prepping for a photo shoot, etc., and feel that, okay, maybe I need to pay attention to this, because this is some hunger. I'm feeling this consistently after the first nudge there. So, and then when it comes to dinner time, my wife and I love to eat in the summertime, before 6:30.
Okay.
In the school season, like we want to be eating before 6 because
Yeah.
we're trying to be in bed before 9. So optimally, I want to be done eating at a minimum of 3 hours before I go to bed.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you very much. You've taught us a lot about, how you take care of yourself physically and with your nutrition. Tell us a little bit more about your business. So how does the Transformation Source, how are you helping people through the Transformation Source?
Yeah, great question, Brian. Thank you for asking that. I have 3 different modalities I help people with. And the first modality is I am trained as a rapid transformational therapist, which is a very powerful modality that developed by Marissa Peer out of the UK that utilizes cognitive behavioral therapy, neurolinguistic programming, and hypnotherapy in a therapeutic setting in my office or on Zoom. And so what RTT does, anything you would go to normal therapy for, I can help with RTT. Typically 1 to 3 sessions, there's a high efficacy rate within RTT. So it's not time's up, Brian. I'll see you next week. Let's talk about your problems over and over again. We get to the root cause of your limiting beliefs and emotional blocks utilizing that hypnosis.
Okay.
And then what we do, what really the beautiful aspect about RTT is I make a custom self-hypnosis audio all based on the client's words on how they want to feel.
Okay.
Not how they don't want to feel. And then their homework is then you have got to listen to this, which is about 15 minutes long for a minimum of 21 consecutive days to rewire the neural networks in your head, the neuroplasticity. What wires together, fires together. So that self-hypnosis audio is helping to lay down those new powerful neural networks. So that's one way I help people. Another way I help people, I have an online workshop that goes through 7 weeks, each one on pillars of transformation: perspective, mindset, emotional release, self-love, breaking the patterns, the behavior patterns, aligning your values to your behavior, and discipline.
Okay.
And these are my 7 pillars of transformation. So in an online workshop, each week we meet for 1 hour. It's a group coaching setting, and we will go over each one of those pillars with some take-home prompts for people to help reflect and adjust their narrative to their life. And that's what all those foundational pieces are there to really look at each one of our narratives. And our narratives make up our perspective, and our perspective makes up our reality. So how can I look at my story and start to see really the belief systems that I picked up and that are causing me this anxiety, this depression, this addiction, whatever it may be. And then let's look at other aspects of your story that have actually equipped you to better help people just like yourself. Instead of being a victim of your story is really equipping you to be of service to people.
Got it. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. What if you could? I know we've covered a lot of stuff, but if you could give our listeners one piece of advice, one piece of action they could take right now, what would that action be?
Yes, great question. What I encourage everyone to do within my work and even within my dialogue with other people, Brian, is to change that voice in your head from one of critical
is
criticism.
That all? Is that
right?
all?
Which is tough. So here's something that it's tough.
You think?
However, right. And this is something that specifically in the workout arena or the fitness arena.
Yep.
And I realized this. I'm 43 years old, Brian. And until I was 37 years old, I realized that I never looked at my own eyes in the mirror. I would always be staring at parts of my body that I disliked or that wasn't where I wanted to be yet. And so I got really close to the mirror one night when I was 37 and had this kind of epiphany.
We call it a mirror moment, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. And I got real close to the mirror so I could see my reflection in my own pupils of it. And I said, I love you, I forgive you, and I'm sorry. And that was, tears just started flowing. And I realized that I never supported myself. I was always complaining, criticizing, and comparing myself to others within my whole life. And so I have children now. If I'm constantly comparing them to other people, to them, if I'm constantly complaining to them and I'm constantly criticizing them, they're not going to want to be around us.
Yeah.
And I believe, Brian, that our bodies are the exact same way. If I'm constantly looking in the mirror and say, I'm so fat, your body, your mind does what it thinks you want it to do. It doesn't know sarcasm. So it says, oh, you're so fat.
Correct.
Let me show you fat.
Yeah.
And so this is so important, because speak to all your listeners out there. I get it. It's hard to just switch that voice from critical to constructive and supportive. But what you can do is think of that 5-year-old self that's still inside you, and speak to yourself as you would want your 5-year-old self to hear, and as you would speak to your 5-year-old self, with encouragement, compassion, and support. And you have got to be your biggest supporter in your life. And that starts with the voice that you hear in your head.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jonathan, very much. That was great. That was phenomenal. Thank you for sharing that. How can listeners best reach you?
Yep, absolutely. My website, thetransformationsource.com. You can reach me through there. I am active on Instagram, where every week I share a video of things that I'm working on, or some of my clients that have come up. And, this is in social media, Brian, we're constantly seeing people's highlight reels, and it's like, hey, look at me doing my cold plunge and sauna. It's not about that.
Yeah.
What it is like, hey guys, I'm struggling with this. Here are some things that maybe I have implemented or incorporated, or thought processes that have helped me or helped others. Take what you want, leave the rest. And so every week I post one video on my Instagram, which is _transformation_source. And I'm active on there. You can find me that way really easily.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate the wisdom and insight you shared with us today, and have a great day.
Thanks, Brian. Love being here.